Welcome to a special episode of Bledsoe Said So, episode 134. I'm going to just let it, Nick couldn't be here with us today. It was just a kind of an impromptu thing. My brother happened to be in town, so we're like, dang, well, we got to record. But Nick's not in town, so he will be missed. He's with us in spirit. Today we have my brother and our first ever Bledsoe guest, Jeremy Van Bledsoe, a.k.a. Monkey D. Luffy.
I'm here in the hizzy.
That's what I'm saying, dude. What's up? What's up with you?
Pretty good. Living the dream. Living life. Enjoying life. Working out, and playing golf.
Hell yeah.
Just doing what I normally do.
Yeah, we've been hitting some golf lately. More so you than me, but
more so me than you, for sure. But that's just what I've been up to.
Yeah.
That and, relationship, traveling, work,
chilling. Heck
eating
yeah.
dill pickle chips.
That's what I'm talking about, bro.
Yeah, I love my dill pickle chips.
So I wanted to, I don't think you've been on since like the book and all this other stuff has come out. So I wanted to kind of generally talk about that. But like our little family has taken a crazy turn in the last year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Lots of stuff has been happening.
Yeah. So I have to say, like, you've read the book.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So what was it like for you? I mean, I know what it's like for me, but what was it like for you when, the book came out? Like the feelings you had inside, all of it, the whole experience.
It was surreal for sure because like I wasn't the first to read it. I was probably the last, and it wasn't a matter of just apprehension. It was just life catching me by the reins, new work responsibilities. The year turned over, so my work gets really busy as the year turns over, and maybe it was like a little bit of delay, just maybe like a mental block thing, and maybe I was just gonna read it whenever I was ready to read it. But I'm glad I did when I did because it hit pretty hard. There were some parts that were like about me.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to read, but not. I powered through it, and it was freaking much better than I thought it was going to be. Honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
It was really well written. I just growing up, I'm like, my dad's gonna write a book. Cool. I've been hearing it for 10 years, and I'm thinking, like, it can't be that good. But then I read it, and to be sure, it was that good.
Yeah. I remember those thoughts too. Like when Dad signed the contract, and it was like, oh wow, this is real. Like he's going to write a book.
Right.
And I was kind of like having Dad send me the chapters as he was writing them. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I read the first chapter, I was like, dang, it's going to be like that. Like this is going to be a hit, know? And I remember like reading some of those early chapters a year before the book was published and just having tears to my eyes. Like this is going to change the world.
I remember when I read the first chapter and then I didn't read the others. Just the first one when he sent it. Because, he would send all of them. But I kind of purposely didn't want to read it before it came out. Because I wanted to just experience it as it came out when it was whole, I suppose. But going through it, I probably should have read it, especially about the parts that were about me, so I could have like proofed it about myself. Mm-hmm. Not to say I disagreed with any of it, but like there's probably some things I might have said differently about myself, you know. Like, but other than that, I thought it was spot on for sure.
Fantastic.
It was really good. Yeah, I thought it depicted it depicted what happened in a light that's palatable for pretty much the general audience. Because, growing up, I didn't think the book would be interesting because I existed in it. It was I was there, so I'm like, wow, I've already, so to speak, read it. So it's I don't know. I'm not trying to sound like a hater, but like I understand. Like, how can it be that good
to you?
Right. And then like I was very pleasantly surprised. Yeah. Whenever I read it, it was great.
No, I always figured it would be good just because our dad wrote it, but then actually reading the book, it's like, oh my God, this is really good. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Like I had these same thoughts. Yeah. And I was very pleasantly surprised.
And I wonder if it's also like maybe it's also part of the trauma of thinking like nothing good could happen to us.
Right.
This can't be good, and then it was. And a lot of good has come as a result of it too.
Yeah.
So it's pretty nice to have in my back pocket too. Hey, my dad's an author.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
I tell people all the time, my middle name and my last name are two very renowned authors,
Mhm.
Dickens and Bledsoe.
Yeah,
You know,
true.
Charles Dickens and Chris Bledsoe. Yes, we are on the same family tree as Charles Dickens, very distantly. But yeah, so I wanted to ask you, like, how has your life been impacted by and or changed from and since the book? Because it came out last February, so it's been this next month will be a
Yeah,
year.
It's almost been a year.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
February 19th, I think.
I would think it's not like, I mean, I've not had people come up and talk to me or anything like that. It's not like that, but I think it's just mental clarity. Maybe just the the curse, so to speak, being lifted from yourself. The curses that we apply to ourselves, you know, just kind of like reducing the weight on my shoulders, kind of like reducing a burden. Because when you internalize something for so long, and you feel like people can't really relate or
They can't understand you.
but now there are people out there who do. It's almost like maybe it's a placebo effect. I don't know, because I've not even talked to people about it. But just knowing that other people were able to experience it through the lens of the book kind of takes the pressure off,
I totally get it.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, because it's knowing that for the first time, there's like a condensed version of the story that people can read and digest in the comments and the feedback.
Yeah.
Dad's book was basically going viral. I mean, it was like out of the 30 million plus books on Amazon, Dad's was in like the top 1,000 out of 30 plus million books. I mean, it was a crazy hit. Dude, it was selling out at Amazon's presses. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
They had to like go for several reprints because it was selling and the point of that, not to talk about sales, but the point of it is to just say like Dad saw a huge overwhelming positive feedback, positive reception, positive success from it, and like that has trickled to us.
Yeah, and I think he needs that more than we do.
Like,
but
yeah,
he needed that.
I mean,
really
like
bad.
the energy of it, the attitude about it has definitely
shifted.
It's
sure.
trickled to us.
Oh yeah, and I like it.
Yeah,
It feels good.
it's dope, man. I'd be
is
handing
nice.
out copies.
No, yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't have copies to hand out, but whenever people are interested, I wish I had one to give them, but I don't. But I've tried to do that with some friends, and Dad was like, "No, I gotta save these and give them to some other people, so I'll have to get my own, and so I can hand them to my friends at home." But then again, I just make them buy it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's on Amazon, bro.
Yeah, it's like $20. You got it. No, it's been a blessing for sure. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very rewarding.
And some amazing developments came around since the book has come out. I mean, our lives have rapidly changed. And then, actually a month before the book released last February, so then it was last January, we filmed with the History Channel. So then I wanted to kind of get into that too, but like where it's the same question. Like how do you feel about that? How has your life changed since that?
The History Channel. Again, it's kind of like the similar vibe. Like I'm not nothing, no direct impacts. I think change happens over time. Unless you win the lottery, then you're a millionaire overnight potentially. But that's not the case in this. The wealth I've accumulated as a result of all that stuff is just stress relief, like reduction in anxiety, and maybe even like an increase in confidence in myself, and like just accepting seeing widespread acceptance helps me accept it better.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say I didn't accept it. It was just more so I internalized and repressed and just hid that part of my life. But as a result of all of that, like I found a new girlfriend that's really into it all. I've seen great like stuff at work has popped off in a way that has positioned me. I'm positioned to grow within my career and growing like technically with my technical specifications and just getting stronger and more equipped to do more difficult tasks at work. So it just like I've had nothing but positives.
So you're saying like since all this stuff has come out, not that it directly impacted your career and things like that, but you're saying you've noticed a positive mental effect that's allowed you to.
And I think that's the greatest wealth is your perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, money is money. Like that's whatever, and that can buy you things, which is not like money can put a down payment on happiness. Is what people tell me. Like, it can put a down payment on happiness. You can go buy a car with money, but you can't buy peace and joy with money. At least I can't. So it's, the perspective shift is what led to the greatest growth in my life.
So I wonder, do you want to talk a little bit about how you were portrayed in the book? Like,
Sure.
so obviously, if they're listening, chances are they've most likely read it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you guys recall, when all this UFO stuff started happening, me and Jeremy were in high school at the time. I believe Chris Jr. was out of high school by the time it aired. He was 18 years old when when the initial documentary aired and went public. And Jeremy had a little bit of a hard time. The way Dad portrayed it was basically, you ran away from it.
He said I turned my back, and I was like,
yeah,
and I guess that's how you can say it.
It's not that simple.
It's not. From his perspective, I can see why he would say that. But from my perspective, I was just I'm trying to find my place in the world. Like, I'm just turning 20 years old, or like 18, 19, 20, getting into that area. And it's like, that's about the time where I have to start looking at my future, trying to position myself. Like, it was normal time for a kid to go to college. That's all it was.
Right.
I was college age. I went to college. And of course I wanted to go outside of Fayetteville. Who doesn't want to go move out of home and experience life outside of the grasps of their parents, or like the oversight of their parents. I wanted to go out and be on my own person. So went to college at UNCW, got my accounting degree, and pursued my education after that, found a career, and just established myself in this world as an independent, normal, like, just not normal, but like human that is productive and become very proud of, but not self-sufficient. I'm independent. Not to say that I turn my back on all of it, but I had to digest it and internalize it and move about my life the way that I only knew how to do.
Right.
But I could see why Dad thought that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there was a time in Dad's life where, at some point,
that's like the default assumption.
Yeah.
If you don't get what you want, like, you don't get that validation you receive, it's like, okay, it's black or white. You either love it or you don't. You're either for it or you're not. And like, that's in heightened anxiety. Like, that's where our minds are more black and white, and heightened, elevated emotional states. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And those can persist over many, many years. So, no, I get it. I get why.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, there was a time in Dad's life where, not us, we were children, but like everybody in his life, especially when this stuff was going down, everybody did turn their backs on Dad. Yeah. Genuinely, they did. Mm-hmm. So like, I personally could see why, in Dad's perspective, you going away and not really always wanting to deal with this stuff, which is totally fair, man. We were kids, and it's like, dude, you can't imagine how hard it is going on a date and being like, yeah, my family's famous for UFOs. Mm-hmm. It's tough. Mm-hmm. Believe us, it's tough, and it's a big, you took my route, which was, oh my God, I'm obsessed with this stuff and I'm all in it. And then you took Jeremy's route, like, God, I just want a normal life for a minute. And I could breathe. Breathe. And not be known for that and under that, like a thumb squishing you down. And I could see why Dad felt like, oh, Jeremy's going away. But like that, I always knew that wasn't the case. I mean, we were having experiences together. And
it's funny though, because like, going on dates, like you said, going on dates and just like, hey, tell me about yourself. Oh, Dad sees aliens. And they're either like, what? Or like, holy shit, okay, take me home. This, I'm not about this. So it's hard to gauge reactions, like how you would get that. But eventually it's just like, yeah, a UFO kid. I call myself the UFO prince.
I didn't know that.
I'm one of the UFO princes.
That's funny. Am I one?
Yeah.
Sweet.
And Emily's the UFO princess.
So Dad's the UFO king?
Yeah, but I'm not trying to sell anything here. I'm just, it's just.
Oh, that's my first time hearing that.
Yeah, no, I've been saying that for a little bit. But, yeah, I just accepted it and just, owned it. And then, and the book and the podcast and a lot of what's come as a result of all that has helped me get to that point.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I find myself in positions where I talk to people and they crave it. They want it bad.
Yeah.
They want to know so bad.
Especially after these recent media pushes.
And now I'm like, okay, hold on. I've heard this story 1,000 times. I've told it a handful of times. But now, if I want somebody to know it, I just defer them to a video, like the Danny Jones podcast, or like episodes of your podcast, the History Channel, or just like, hey, here's a book,
Yeah.
Consume it.
It's nice.
It'll do all of it for me.
It's really nice.
I don't have to butcher the story. So it's really cool. It's really cool.
No, I just wanted to get that out of the way for anybody who's read the book and then is seeing you for the first time since. I just wanted to clarify, like,
I hate you.
No. Jeremy was having experiences the whole time. He was just like any other kid who has a traumatic experience at the time we were children, and I think some people just cope with things in different ways. And I think for you, it was just easier to get away from it all so that you could think clearly, about your life. And that's completely respectful and fine, I just wanted to talk about that. But things are different now. I mean, we're kind of like all into it, and I wanted to say this, man, and you can comment on this. You know who I've seen the biggest change in is Mom.
Yeah, true.
It's crazy.
100%.
Mom is making jokes about being an alien.
I know.
She's kind of like going full circle into it.
She's the queen UFO.
It's pretty wild, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's definitely a relief because it's like there's no more friction, or there's nearly as much friction around it all as there used to be.
What can people say when the book is doing well and we have these TV appearances, and what are they still going to say, "Oh, you're lying, you're lying"? Really? I mean, we got all these people investigating us and stuff. It has an impact on people. They don't really speak up so much anymore. Have you noticed? Mom gets to say, "My husband's an author." It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty good for her.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's definitely
I have to hear the family members making little jokes, or hear them do stuff like, what is it, like the typical alien noise? Ooh, they do that to you or something. You never had that?
They never did that to me.
Oh, they did to me.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, funny. Just go back to like mess on my phone or something.
People did that to you?
Yeah.
Nobody ever did that to me. That's messed up.
I know.
See, I would be running away too.
Yeah. It was hard to. And I got your older cousins and shit. It's like,
disrespectful.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to.
Yeah, people are cruel, man. They're savage. People in this world are vicious, cruel. When you go through something and you truly are on the bottom and you're suffering like we did, and then like to see how people come in and treat you, it's really eye opening to like how evil people can be.
Right.
But I have to say, man, like our little family's doing all right.
We're doing all right
with all this stuff, and it's pretty freaking sweet. But yeah, I'm really grateful for all this stuff that's coming out. And I was just gonna say we're all on board with it, and we're hanging out with Dad. We're having our crazy orb sightings and seeing stuff, and it's pretty wild. But I wanted to talk about like some of the recent sightings we had. I can't remember the last time that you and I were there together, but I know since you've been on the podcast last, we've had half a dozen nights where we've seen some pretty crazy things.
It's been a few years, I feel like. Or a year and some change, rather. Not a few.
Yeah.
I was on last year.
No, I don't think you were. I think it was the year before. Yeah.
Dang. Yeah. It's been a while, so a year and some change. Okay.
Any of those experiences between now and then that have stood out to you?
I'm trying to... Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, one of the more recent ones, it was... You weren't even there. Stuck out. It was just me, Dad... Pretty sure Josh was there.
That's right. Yeah, our cousin Josh.
There yet. And stuff just sparkling throughout the sky and just doing its own, doing what it normally does. And I'm the one that's I lack expression sometimes. I feel like I'm the hardest to impress. Mom's the hardest to impress.
Yeah.
But I'm up there with her. But I'm not a skeptic. Don't get me wrong. I'm just desensitized. Oh, cool. Dope, But then sometimes I'm like, holy shit! What is that?
Yeah.
And I had some of those moments with Dad and Josh, our cousin. Christmas?
It was, yeah.
It was over Christmas.
Yeah. It's Christmas night.
Yeah. It's Christmas night. And that was fun. I there have been a few nights where when I'm by myself, I don't spend much time outside. I'm playing games, Or
watching The Piece.
Or watching The Piece with my roommate.
One
Shout
Piece.
out to Joey. Yeah, One Piece is... Watch it. Alex, Dragon Ball Z. We'll get you on it. But no, I think the most entertaining, the fun, and the fun sightings that I have is definitely when we're with everybody.
Yeah.
Dad, obviously, that's just like his hobby.
Every night for Dad.
Yeah.
He sees him every night.
If it's not cold or
cloudy,
cloudy or
rainy, yeah. Well,
nasty.
cloudy now too, but rainy.
You don't even want to go out when it's cloudy, really.
Yeah, but
'Cause
we be
it's
seeing them
generally
sometimes.
colder and need bones and stuff. But yeah, no, for sure. But it, especially with little Teddy, I spend a lot of time just watching his videos. He tags us in on Instagram, watch those, and some of those are crazy. I like seeing. Well, I always enjoy whenever satellites come by, and people are like, "Dang, Chris, what is that?" And he's like, "Oh, satellite."
Yeah,
And they're like, "Oh, okay."
he's always honest about the
Yeah,
shit.
he is,
He's not playing games.
Oh no, that's SpaceX. Like, oh, okay, cool.
That's a funny story, man. I'm not gonna say any names here, but we have an uncle who you know what I'm about to say?
Yeah.
Who notoriously is like boo to the UFO stuff.
He's
like,
a hater.
He's a hater. Yeah, we love him to death.
Yeah, not like hater in the mean sense, but hater just because
About
he's
the UFO stuff.
He has his convictions,
Right.
and he can't believe it.
It's evil. Yeah, Jesus didn't die on other
Yeah.
planets kind of thing. And he's always been very vocal. Like, it's wrong. Like, you'd be shocked at how people are just willing to speak up and tell you your life is a lie and you're living in sin and blah, blah, blah because you see things. And recently he called my dad freaking out. Our dad, obviously. Chris, I'm seeing something in the sky. And Dad was like, yeah, it's SpaceX. Talk about like,
What do we do?
irony.
What is
It's just the one time he ever called, and it was a satellite. I thought that was so funny.
SpaceX.
This is ironic.
Yeah, it is pretty funny.
So what happened that night with you and Josh? Like, describe what you saw.
Oh, I don't remember if we were with Emily or not. Maybe not.
It was
But-
Christmas Eve, by the way.
Mhm.
Now that I think about it.
Yeah, Christmas Eve. And Josh came over, our 18-year-old cousin, and it was me, Dad, Josh, and I think Emily, I'm not sure. And we were just standing outside when we normally stand, and, just Emily was there. And we were just looking around and seeing things move about the sky. And then me and Josh are just, I don't know, I'm just glad. I have a focus problem. I'm looking around everywhere all the time. People walking in, I'm looking at things, looking at people, I barely pay attention. And I'm just looking up, just talking to Josh. He's sitting right beside me. I'm like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then something shoots across the sky, but it's not like that normal, just moving across the sky. That thing blistered, like gone. And it like you can, we spend a lot of time looking at the sky. So when you see like a meteor or a comet, whatever, you kind of have, you get good at identifying those types of things and differentiating them between what you can't really identify. So, or not to say you can't, but things that are unidentified rather, and it was like green and kind of like orange yellow looking like it normally does, and it had a nice streak that it left too, and it was more than just 2 to 3 seconds. It was just. I could process. I was processing it as I see it. Normally, when I see a comment, it's like out of the corner of my eye, and I look at it for half a second, and like boom, it's gone. But that was present. It was there. It lingered. Momentous. Yeah, it lingered, and I couldn't tell you the direction it was going, but it just flew across the sky. It was really cool, and normally I always find it weird because like I said, a comment. I'm never looking in the sky and I see something move in my foveal vision. It's always, I see it in my peripheral and I take notice of it and then I glance at it, right? But this just happened in my eyes. You know what I mean?
Dead on.
Yeah. Right? As I was looking at it, I was focusing at the spot that it happened as it happened.
Yeah. I've had some experiences
like a
that.
rocket.
Did Josh see it?
A really fast freaking rocket. Dope.
So how was Josh reacting?
Josh, I mean, he's also he's not very expressive.
Right.
I feel like he's a thinker. I feel like.
Yeah.
He analyzes, and I'm pretty sure he was pretty much like, honestly, when it all happened, Dad kind of started talking. And we're like, what'd y'all see? And Emily's like, well, where is it? And I was like, it's right there. And then Josh was kind of like chiming in. Not like super excited. Like, that's not who he is.
He's chill.
He's chill. But he thought it was really cool.
Awesome.
He's very inquisitive about it all. And talks to Dad and asks and talks and asks.
Josh is our 18-year-old cousin. Shout out Josh. He's very special to us. And his mother is my dad's younger sister, and that was his first time sky watching with us ever, as far as I know. And since he was an adult and he's got his own vehicle now, he drove out and hung out, and he had been. It was Christmas Eve, and we were at a family party, and I got to talking with him, and I was like, "Bro, we're gonna be hanging out tonight if you want to come." And Josh was like, "Yeah, I honestly really want to see some orbs." I was like, "Really? Yeah, come over tonight." So that was kind of
I didn't know that, but
yeah. And it was kind of profound that we got to have that experience with him, because typically we don't have these experiences with family, because typically family has been the haters.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool that we got to have that moment with him. It was very special, and I ended up showing up late. I wasn't there at the moment y'all were sky watching.
You were with the in-laws.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's funny talking about like families being haters. It's like they don't necessarily hate more or less than the other people. It's just theirs cut deeper.
Yeah, because we're stuck with them.
Cuts
They're
really
family.
deep.
Not that I don't want to be stuck with them. It's just the reality of the situation. You're with your family your whole life. Yeah.
Love my family.
And family will sometimes slit your throat worse than anybody.
Yeah, they go for blood.
And they get away with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But enough about the negative stuff. That's wild, man. I'm glad y'all had that experience. I wanted to, you may have told this before on the podcast, but it was probably years ago if you did, and that's okay. Listeners have probably long forgotten. And this is an instance in the book that I wanted to rehash with you. And maybe it could jog your memory in different ways. But let's talk about that day back in like 2008 or 9. We're kids. I'm 14. You're 15. It's the last day of summer. And we're going to go kneeboarding at the river.
Mm-hmm. That was in the book?
Yeah.
Okay. That was in the book.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was. It was.
So what happened?
I was, I got to think. It was in the red room.
Yep.
And I was sitting on a couch against the back wall of that room. Mind you, the room is lined, the audience, the room is lined with mirrors like every 2 feet. There's a mirror, window outside, window. It was almost like a sunroom without the mirror, the windows at the top.
The sky roof or whatever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying.
Right. It was Dad's like man cave. We called it the red room.
The walls were red, so we called it the red room.
Painted it brown. It was the red room because it was brown for the past few years. But anyway, we were sitting down watching some TV, I don't know. And I was sitting with Mom. She was probably like, I'm sitting at the end of the couch. Mom's sitting like right here. I'm probably just, I was always close to my mom, so I was like leaning on her, hugging her, or whatever. And I'm watching the TV, just zoned in on Stargate SG-1, and Mom is, I don't know what she was doing, but she was just being ADD or whatever, just looking around, not paying attention to Stargate SG-1, because God forbid, Mom's not going to watch that. But I think it was over y'all's heads.
Yeah, I was on the couch across from you, and behind my head was windows.
Mm-hmm.
So it was behind my head.
Yeah, and then, I didn't see it straight on. Remember how I talked about peripheral versus the foveal? This was in my peripheral, but it was in Mom's foveal. She made eye contact with it. She's the one that can tell you the facial features and the eyes and like what it looked like, what it was doing. I just saw it out of the corner, but I saw it. I was just watching TV, and something popped into the mirror to my right. Window. Dang it. It's just those two words.
Yeah.
Right, left, mirror, window. Tomato. But looked through the window, something popped into the window. And I looked over, and by the time I looked, it had already disappeared. But I was like, hey, guys, did somebody just pop their head through the window? And Mom looked at me, and she was like, did you see that too? I was like, heck yeah, I saw that. What was that? Who was that? And she was like, I don't know. And she started freaking out and basically made Ryan and I go outside and like scour the house and like look around. We had neighbors that sometimes would pull up and knock on our back doors, like Dad's old childhood friends, like best friends growing up would come over. Hey, Chris, got a cigarette? Like, yeah, here, sure. Or something like that, But that wasn't the case because we looked everywhere. And like the time that we caught it, there's no way those old men could have just like ran.
Well, remember the main thing that freaked Mom out so bad is the house was on a slab. It was on a platform.
It was on like like the window. That's what I'm saying. I'm getting to that. It was like there's no way it could have been any one of our friends from the area, like also because the base of that window was touching 7 foot tall, and none of us are 7
Whatever
foot
looked
tall.
through that window had to be 7 or 8 foot tall.
It was very tall because houses back up into the past 10 years were built on a 2 to 2.5 foot foundation, and you put the pipes and like potentially the AC systems underneath, or the plumbing underneath, the wiring underneath, and you had to crawl in. But they don't do that anymore. But that was the case with our house, and that joker was just staring through the window.
Mm-hmm.
And it was raining outside.
Mom said it glided
too.
away.
It glided. See, I couldn't make that connection because it was, but I saw it. And it was like almost like a brownish, like a darker color. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, Bobby, cool. And then Mom was like, no, sir, go outside now. And I was like, but Mom, it's raining. I don't want to go outside. She's like, go outside. So we go outside. We look around. And to be sure, there's nobody out there. But no, something made eye contact with Mom. But I'll never forget that because of how, like, pale she was. She was terrified.
Yeah.
And, of course, Dad starts laughing at her.
That was right before the documentary came out.
Yeah.
Like just a few months.
Yeah.
What would you say, in your experience in the last 17 years, what would you say has been your most, you could say, like, profound or impactful experience?
Some of them, like, personal experiences. Probably not none that I've shared with people, or none that I've publicly spoke about, that were pretty impactful, that would kind of just remind me that I'm going to be all right, regardless of what social factors or environmental factors or like external forces are pressing against me. I'm going to be all right. So things like that would happen. Those are the conclusions I would draw based off the experiences that I had in that moment. It was kind of like going to church on Sunday. You're like, oh, reset. I'm not going to sin for the next 2 days or 3 days. You know what I mean? Friday comes along, I'm drinking, you know what I mean? And then go back to Sunday, then you're clean. But no, it was kind of like that, where it's like I would be really down and out, and then something would happen, and it would be like a reset. Like and would remind me that things are going to be okay. Like at UNC, when I was here at UNCW, my first or second semester, I was living alone, and I'm pretty sure I was visited at my bedside.
Yeah?
Yeah. And I saw them.
Tell me about it.
They were like, I didn't see their faces, but I could see them at my bed. And I woke up and I was looking at like their torsos. And I was petrified because I was like, somebody is leaning over me right now. And I could hear it in my head, and it kind of reminded me of Mom, like that kind of warm, inviting presence saying you're going to be all right. So I just went back to sleep.
This is my first time hearing of this.
Yeah, it was. I kept that one to myself, but they were there. Somebody might say it was sleep paralysis. I wouldn't know. It's never happened to me before. It's never happened again. Nothing of that magnitude, but.
Well, yeah, I don't think you, being in the position
happen.
that you're in and with the reputation that we have, I don't think you need to try to like logic away what it could have been. I've seen them at the foot of my bed. Emily has seen them in her room. Junior has seen them in his room. Dad has seen them in his room. So I think you probably saw them in your room.
It was in Wilmington.
I have not been like in a situation like that where I'm like sleeping and I wake up and see them, but I have had nights where I'm trying to fall asleep. Jenny's in bed beside me and I just have an active mind and I'm not like seeing anything, but I'm feeling their presence and I feel something touching me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them.
Felt it on my back.
I feel them touching me.
As if Mom was like whispering in my ear. Like, you're all right, honey. Don't worry about it. You're going to be good. And to be sure, I'm doing all right. But, yeah, that was probably the single most impactful moment regarding this phenomenon for me.
Wow.
That and the one with my friend in the car with Raj. And he was like, the fuck was that? Like that one.
After that concert?
Yeah. In Raleigh. That was a big one. Because it was just somebody that I had with me. He had a clue, because I'm like, yeah, UFOs, my dad, and they're like, oh, cool. All right, so the Lakers, just start talking about like basketball and stuff or football, and he was like, I'm pretty sure I just saw something I'm not supposed to see, and I was like, hell yeah, you did. Yeah, you did, dude. So that was pretty impactful because it was just who was with me, but not, that's just in recent years. But the one with like the bedside, for frame of reference, it was about the time when Papa passed away. I don't know if it was before or after. It was just in that time frame.
So like 2013-ish?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah. You had just gotten to Wilmington like 2012 or so.
Yeah, because I was living by myself. And I only lived by myself for 1 year there. And then after that, I lived with my best friend until I moved out from Wilmington.
So can you walk me through that, just the feeling part of it? The experience started off and you were petrified, and then it changed into this loving feeling, and then ended up being one of the most impactful.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, imagine just waking up in your room and things are there staring at you.
How many?
For me, I think it was 2.
Okay.
I couldn't have my awareness, but I was so, in that moment, so scared because, something about me, when I wake up, I'm in Jeremy land. Like, I'm delirious half the time. And so when I woke up, and I say that to say, like, I woke up, I was like, my mind started running soon as I woke up, because I was like, I feel a presence. I feel more than one presence. Am I going crazy? Am I delirious? What's going on? No, I'm not, because not only do I feel them, I see them and I hear them. And then they started talking, like, not talking like blah, 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 but more so like conveying messages into my brain. And they pacified me. And then I kind of just sunk down, passed all my exams, which was great. And it was just, like I said, it was just a warm, soothing presence. But I wasn't made aware of the kind of presence it was until they provided me with that information. But at first, it was me analyzing, like, oh shit, there's something in here. They could try and kill me. It could be people with guns or knives or whatever. I don't know. So that's what that was. I was scared for my life. I didn't know what it was I was in presence with. And then after being pacified and then thinking about it the next day, comforted, thank you. I keep saying pacified. And like after that, after I woke up the next day, I could think about it, and I'm pretty sure I called Dad or I called Mom within a couple of days, and I told them. But yeah, no, I kept that one largely to myself. But no, I was probably one of the most scared I've ever been. Like, I was so scared I couldn't move. I've never been like that. That's how I was at the time.
I think that's amazing, because like this would have been the time in your life where, like, as the book mentions, that you were like running away from it all, you know? And I think maybe the reader reads that and they're like, oh wow, Chris's kids, they weren't all into it. But that's not the case. We were all into it. We weren't all into the vicious hate and negativity we were receiving from people, and we're wanting to get away from that. But what's crazy is, while Jeremy's gone on his character arc, and as if anybody knows you, for the most part, it's going to be Bledsoe Said So or the book, right? As far as your public appearances. But we're learning here. I'm learning. I didn't know about this experience. I've never heard of this story at all. This is shocking to me. This is the reality of what's happening when you're running away from it all. You're really not running away from it all. You're just going to your solitude so that you can try to...
My fortress.
Yeah, your fortress of solitude. But you're having experiences in your bedroom. It's kind of like poetry, Like you never got away from it, man.
No.
You just thought that you just needed a break.
I wanted to be in a place where nobody knew who I was.
Yeah.
So I could define, like, I could not only, because I barely knew who or what I was. Because after that, I'm like, well, dang, I'm not some normal little kid that goes to church and prays and goes to school, gets a job, gets a wife, does all this. Like, I'm the UFO prince, or one of them.
I like that.
So it's... that's kind of relatively new. It's been like within the last year I've been saying it, but I think it's
because of the book, no less.
Yeah, probably. Yes,
that's awesome.
The prince, one of the princes. But no, I guess that'd be Christopher. He would be the prince. He's first in the line.
Yeah,
he's the prince.
He was there the original night.
Yeah, he's the
prince. He deserves that
for sure.
We can be like the Dukes or something.
Yeah. Well, no, we're just Prince 2
we're the
and
Lords.
Prince 3. We're just, we're just not next in line.
Yeah,
Christopher is. But anyway, what was your question?
I don't think I had a question. I was just commenting how awesome that is.
Oh,
That,
yeah,
like
no, it's
like
really
from the listener, I'm just trying to paint a picture for them to understand you
Yeah.
and your position and your place in all this. I mean, they've seen me 100+ episodes, but I'm not the only one that's been dealing with this stuff, you know.
Mhm.
And I just think it's crazy that even in your time when you're like going away, you're still having experiences in your bedroom at night.
Mm-hmm.
So you have told Dad about that experience?
Maybe, but who knows? Maybe I have. Who knows if he listens? If he remembered, rather. He definitely listens.
Yeah, he definitely listens.
Yeah, he listens. But it's been so long. It's been
10,
11
11
12
years.
years. So not 12, but 10, 11 years. So it's so many things happen. Like obviously it happened to me. It impacted me the most. So I'm gonna remember that. You know, Dad sees so much, does so much, interacts with so many different people, going to Florida or going to California, going to Maine, going to Delaware, going here, that, blah, blah, blah. So there's no way he can keep it all in his mind. Nobody can do that.
Right.
So I don't expect him to remember that. But then again, he could surprise you and be like, yeah, I remember when you told me that.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll recount it to you. And you're like, oh, okay. Yeah.
He is hard to forget stuff.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what happened a few weeks ago when he went to Tarboro? Do you remember we were?
I was thinking about it because I drove through Tarboro yesterday. I forgot to ask him.
You don't know what happened? Let's talk about it because I haven't said it on the podcast yet.
Yeah, I
It's
haven't.
pretty wild.
I've been meaning to ask him about that.
Alex, when did y'all do the Heart Center?
September.
September?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay. So we have talked about that on the show. I'm going to breeze right past that just in case you're not aware of that situation. Do you know what happened there?
I mean, I know that. Like when you're referring to like a specific event, maybe. He talked to me about it.
Yeah, like back in September, he went to the Heart. There were probably 70 people there. Maybe by the end of the night, there were about 50, people leave or whatever. And they sky watched, and the whole crowd saw orbs.
Oh, cool.
Right? And that was impactful. That was significant. That was a big deal. Has never happened yet with that size of a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dad's biggest crowd before that was like 20.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so 2 weekends ago, he goes to Tarboro. We were invited. We both couldn't make it.
Just here.
Yeah, you were here. That's why we couldn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, so Dad calls me the next night after he's leaving Tarboro. And the Tarboro thing was it was like a speaking event hosted at a church in Tarboro, North Carolina. And there were probably 50 people there. And it wasn't a church event. It was just a talk for Dad hosted at a church. So there was probably 50 people lined in the pews. And Dad's at the front, like at the podium, like just telling his story, talking about the book, whatever. And he told me that at some point in the middle of his talk, he just said, "Do you all want to see an orb? I filled them out there right now." And he bolted out the door. And the whole crowd, 50 people, get up out of their pews. They follow him out the door.
He's getting confident.
And they all saw it.
He's getting confident.
I have videos sent to me from people in our Discord who were there that night with Dad's voice. They're, "What the fuck?" They might not be saying that in the video, but that's the vibe. They're all, "Oh my God, what is that? What is that?" The whole crowd saw. And you're right. Dad is getting confident.
Mm-hmm.
The sense is getting stronger.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. No, I heard him telling that story to somebody. I just thought he was referring to Thanksgiving.
Mm-mm.
Remember that Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
No, I was there for that on Thanksgiving.
He was telling Jackie's what it was.
Your Jackie?
Yeah, he was telling my Jackie last week when he visited and fixed my sink. That's relevant, but yeah, I heard him I overheard him telling that story. I just didn't know it was reference to Tarboro, but I've been meaning to ask him about that because it was like last weekend, right?
2 weekends ago, I think.
Okay. Dang,
Yeah.
That's cool though. I'm glad to hear that.
A whole crowd saw.
That's awesome.
That is now in the last, 4 months or so. That's over 100 unique people that Data has been in person with by the crowds showing them orbs.
Mm-hmm.
What is this building to? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's building to something.
No, it has to be. It has to be. Yeah, I agree. Because they can't just come down and make their presence super known. That would just almost that would overwrite the effort that's been done, I guess, from their perspective for the past however many years.
Mm-hmm.
They're being methodical with it,
Yeah.
whatever it is they're doing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
It's all calculated.
is it inoculation? Is that the word? They're slowly inoculating the world? Yeah.
Right.
Slowly but surely. Like with all this stuff happening on the news, like 10 feet things running around in Miami. Apparently something in Virginia was just spotted. Like, I don't know the legitimacy of all this stuff, but the fact that it's coming out.
The conversation is coming
and the
out.
news
Yeah.
is covering it and all this. It's hard to, people don't remember, but like the month after COVID broke is when the UAP task force was created by the federal government in 2021, April 2021.
Do you mean 2020?
2020, sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, April 2020. And I remember that because it was so like,
It's intentional.
yeah, this is kind of like a tangent, but I remember going through the pandemic at its early stages. That was really tough on me, but sort of, it's varying degrees for everybody. But I remember thinking, dang, COVID sucks. I'm terrified. I gotta hopefully I can get a vaccination soon. Blah 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 blah. And then the UAP thing hit. Mind you, I had to get vaccinated for my work, but it was forced. The UAP task force was created in April. And I remember looking at my friends and I was like, wait, nothing matters. Nothing matters. The biggest news in modern history just happened. The government acknowledged the existence of UAPs or UFOs. That's the real shit. Yeah. And then from then on, it was every other month or so, something. The ice, was it Tom DeLonge, To the Stars Academy releasing their videos and all these pilots talking about it like every so often. And now there are people filming it and putting it on TikTok.
Yeah.
And seeing creatures run around. It's just crazy. It's so crazy. And it's kind of validating in a way when I go back and think about it over the past like 15 to 20 years. 15 years? 17?
17 this month.
17 years?
January.
Where I can't help but not put a smile on my face because we were there when it was not cool.
Yeah, we were the ones who was not cool.
Let me not brag.
No, it's okay to brag a little.
Yeah,
okay.
we've been into it for a while, and now everybody's starting to come around.
Well, dude, we weren't just into it. We were experiencing
part of it.
We were in it. Yeah. We were like, our family. I say this all the time. Our family is like ground zero for this entire story breaching humanity. Like I do believe. Call me cocky, whatever. I'm just being candid because my brother's on the show and we're having a family chat here. I always tell this to Dad. I always tell this to Emily and Junior and all you guys. I always say that someday we're going to be remembered for being the ones that broke this. The real thing. Not the bullshit on the news and, Miami Mall holograms and shit, but the real thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be remembered for this.
Mm-hmm.
I always say we're ground zero for this. You've heard me say that how many times?
Plenty of times. It's funny that you call them holograms because I remember I've seen accounts where people were saying that they look like they glitched. They look like glitchy movements. People
in NASA and the CIA have gone through great lengths to talk to Dad and I about how advanced their hologram tech is and how, technology will be used for the deception and all this. So I don't know for sure. Is it holograms? I don't know. But that's my take. What I do know is I do not believe that due to the universal balance and the position of God and the beings and how reality works, I do not think that there are just these actual physical or dimensional negative entities out there who have the permission to just pop in and, pull out a blicky at the mall and start shooting people. Yeah, no. I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's how the universe works.
I don't think it's
fake.
Some people, like if they had the capability to do that, it would have been done. Like, why wait now?
Right.
Because
what they would have sniped this years ago.
How significant is a few 10, 15 years on the cosmic calendar? Because obviously they're operating on a much larger scale than we are. Like us revolving around the sun 365 days, that's a year. There's only been 200 of those in American history or something. So it's like, why wait till this moment to make their presence known? Like it just is way too calculated.
Yeah.
Orchestrated.
Right.
But obviously some people might say, "Oh, I've never seen them." And there's no existence, or there's no record, therefore they don't exist. I have a friend, and he's like that. He's like, I can't believe any of this stuff. I've never seen it, and there's no record of it. And I'm sitting there.
Don't you just have it all figured out?
I'm just, I wasn't offended. I let people say what they want. Like I can't be mad if people don't believe something that I believe. So I'm just sitting there quiet as heck in Discord. And then a few months later, me and my friend were talking about my dad, and that other guy was like, "Dude, your dad's famous?" I was like, yeah, kinda. He's like, "Oh, for what?" I'm like, "UFOs." He's like, "Dude, that's freaking crazy."
Yeah. You'll have to tell me after who that was.
Flip. Yeah, you've never met him. You might have met him, but it's one of the Discord buddies. But it was no, it's funny. I love it. I love it's weird. I'll talk about it with anybody now.
Yeah.
Just because
it's hard not to now. Yeah. Like you said in the beginning of today's show, it's like now with the book out, now with the documentary out, it's like. I can take a breath. I don't feel like I'm fighting for my fucking life anymore. I don't feel like I'm fighting to...
Yeah, fight or flight.
It's gone.
Comes down.
Now it's just having fun. Oh, you want to know the story? Yeah.
Not so stressed.
Read the book, or if you don't like reading the book, watch the History Channel,
Or just listen to it.
and then we'll talk.
Yeah.
Do
your homework.
Do your homework.
Yeah.
Then we'll talk. Yeah. Like meeting, your lovely new girlfriend, Jackie. Shout out, Jackie.
Shout out, Jackie.
This is my second time meeting her. And I keep telling her, like, you got to read the book, right?
Yeah, you said today, you got some homework.
I said it's required reading.
Yeah.
Like, you need to read it.
Yeah. I don't want to tell Dad. I don't want to tell people Dad's story because it's available. I'm not going to tell it like he's going to tell it.
Right. We weren't there.
We weren't there.
We've only heard him tell it a billion times.
Right. I don't want to tell it.
I don't know all the specific numbers. How many lights was it? I just know what happened.
I know what happened. I can recount to you what happened.
I wasn't
based
there.
off what he said. But yeah, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And because it's out there, it's like I shouldn't have to say it now. But then again, I don't want, I'm not trying to like sell the book or anything. I'm just saying, if you want the source material, it's out.
It's the book.
You
Yeah.
know?
The book is the
Not a paraphrase secondhand recount. It's not. It doesn't do it justice.
right. I very intentionally from the start, when we started this podcast, like before we published our first episode, in my mind, I'm like, this is not going to be a show where we're just telling the story over and over again. We're not just going to have Dad on here all the time. We've only had Dad on once a year.
Mm-hmm.
We've had you guys on once a year each. Actually, Chris Jr.'s been on once in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we have made very intentional efforts. This is going to be a real show that talks about a diverse range of topics. We're not going to tell our story over and over and over and over. And when we do tell our story, when we do hit the canon Bledsoe content, that's what we call it internally.
Mm-hmm.
This will be so your episode, this is a
event.
canon Bledsoe episode. Yeah, we're talking about the family and the events. And these are rare special episodes. This is not the standard. This is not what I just want to do all the time, because then who am I? I'm just the guy telling the story over and over again. I'm nobody. You know what I mean? I wanted to.
Chris Bledsoe's son.
Yeah, and I don't want to be that. I want to have, my
That's
own.
exactly why I went off to Wilmington.
Yeah.
I wanted to be my own freaking person.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I totally. I'm on your side. I'm on everybody's side.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's against each other here, but I just think that sometimes we forget how bad it was because it's so good right now.
And you also don't realize how bad things are when you're going through it. Like,
yeah,
a lot of times people suffering from abuse don't realize they're suffering from abuse until it's pointed out that they're suffering from abuse. Not to say we are suffered from abuse, but that just to make a comparison. Like, we didn't realize we were suffering until it was made evident that we were freaking suffering.
Yeah.
That's fight or flight. You learn how to cope. You learn how to deal with things, and you learn how to survive. But it may not be optimal, and it may not be positive, but you learn how to do it. So we had to learn how to survive optimally.
For many years, because of these incredibly stressful and traumatic events that we experienced as a family, I experienced an extreme sense of dread.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at any given moment, there were many days, a lot of days I'd come home crying to my wife because of, stuff going on in my life. Like, I just thought any day my life would be over. I thought my career would just explode. I just thought everything would go wrong because I was so conditioned to live under crisis level circumstances for so many years of my childhood. And I tried going to therapy. It didn't work. It was really weird. I was like, if I'm going to go in here, I'm going to be honest. I start telling her about how I'm monitored by the CIA. My dad knows, is kind of well known in the UFO
You're
world.
paranoid schizophrenic.
No, it was the opposite. She became a big fan, and it got weird.
Oh. That's what my fear was. If I go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist, they would try and label me as like a psycho and try and medicate me.
That was my worry.
That was my biggest fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I ditched the therapy. Wasn't my vibe. I will say probably some psychedelic mushrooms and things of that nature have helped me to cope a little better.
That's good that you had that outlet.
Otherwise, I probably would not have been the way I am now, But, yeah, I think times are really good right now. Things are good right now.
I would agree.
We have a lot of amazing things coming, and obviously we haven't even mentioned this yet. I have on the show many times, but we're working on a major motion picture.
Major motion pick.
Pretty exciting stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
Who you think? Who's your favorite cast pick for you?
I have not even thought about that.
This is just fantasy. This is not reality. This will not happen.
Chalamet.
Timothy Chalamet. But what if I want him for me?
I'm tall and skinny.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Plus, you've actually read Dune. I haven't.
Well, yeah, it was.
I haven't read it. I've only read like 100 pages. So I've
He's my
mentioned
main.
this on an episode before, and Jeremy can give some insight into this. But back in 2012, we were initially working on a legit major motion picture deal, but we never had a finalized contract. It was never official. It was negotiating for like 10 years, right?
Get the lawyers. Let's go back and forth with the contract.
Yeah, change that line for 10 years.
And then something comes up. and
Well,
like,
it was intentional.
Come to a resolution, and then it's like, oh, well, we can't really dedicate the time to this right now because we have all these other things going on. So it's just roadblock.
Well,
after
plus
roadblock
there
after
was a
roadblock.
character in that deal who was sandbagging the deal intentionally. It is
Mhm.
what it is. Thank God that's behind us. And, we were being stalled, and it just wasn't the right time. But what I was bringing up was, do you remember back then when we were so excited at the prospect of a movie being made all the way back in 2012, 12 years ago? We were always been like, I want this one to play me. You remember?
Oh yeah.
And we would just like do it for hours.
I think I want Post Malone to play me.
Hell yeah, bro.
I identify as Post Malone.
Give me like a Giga Chad like Chris Pratt. or like,
Maybe we would have kids though that played us.
oh, that's right. Yeah, I don't know any kid
Yeah.
actors anymore.
Me neither. I remember the joke was that they would get Justin Bieber to play me.
No, I always said I wanted him for me.
Oh, was that it?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I guess I don't remember the joke. Was you?
Yeah, I always said I wanted Justin Bieber to play me because that's like the worst choice. It's ironic,
Yeah.
like that little cringe humor that was popular back then.
Yeah, still popular. I still like it.
Yeah, but no, good. It's good times, man, and I'm glad to see that you're doing so well with it and coping
Thanks.
so well with it.
Likewise, I appreciate it.
And same for Chris Jr. He's doing well.
Little
He's-
Chungo baby,
Oh, you know what?
best little nephew ever.
I know, dude. Teddy is just such a brilliant little, silly little genius.
Little
But
sucker.
did you see how on January? What's the anniversary? It's 08. No, 07 happened January 8th. I always
Yeah.
get the year and the day confused, and
Mhm.
I have to remember it's Elvis's birthday, January 8th.
Right.
So January 8th of this month. Did you see the video Chris took? Did you catch? You might have been busy, but
Yeah, I'm sure I saw. I need to go refresh my memory.
bro, so Junior was working basically on Marsh Road. Like,
oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wha-
He happened to be there.
yeah, so I'll tell you, Alex, because you don't know this. Junior was working across the
A
street.
job.
This has never happened. This is not common. Junior never goes out into this like outskirt country area of, Fayetteville to work. And
Where
he
we
just-
used to live.
Yeah, and he happened to have a job out there, literally across the street from where the original event went down.
Mm-hmm.
Complete synchronicity. And he was there the 17-year anniversary. And he sent us a video. I can show you after.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could put it in the episode or something if you wanted.
You put it on Instagram, right? That
Yeah,
video?
Dad
Yeah,
did.
I saw it.
Dad did.
Oh, yeah, I saw it.
And he was working there across the street. And he said, I just had a feeling that I'm going to see them today. He got an orb in the daytime. Now, Dad tells us that we all have different gifts. He thinks we're all special in his kids. He thinks we're special and unique in different ways. And what he always tells me about Junior is Junior has a gift. If you look back in the history of all of this, if we just had access to every video we've ever taken, every conversation we've ever had, like imagine there's some like AI program or something, you could just sift through all the data. If we were to look back in the last 17 years, Junior, even more than Dad, has this wild ability. He only sees them in the day. Have you noticed that?
I've noticed that he sees him.
Chris
Yeah.
has sent tons of daytime videos, and he's like getting orbs of light on video during the day. Dad doesn't even get them on video during the day much.
Sometimes.
Few times ever.
Like recently, he got one.
It's wild.
Yeah, recently he got one during the day. Remember that?
No, I don't.
A couple days ago.
Dad did?
Yeah.
I didn't see that. What?
He posted on Insta, didn't he?
I've been busy. I haven't
Yeah, I'm
looked.
pretty sure. If I'm wrong, you can just cut this out.
No, it's all right. If you're wrong, then it was Junior's video.
Yeah,
Because he
true.
posted Junior's video on Instagram.
That's probably what it was. He posted juniors on his. Okay.
Yeah, that's what
I'm-
it was.
Okay. I thought this was like 2 or 3 days ago, but like you said, so much stuff happening. I can't remember it all.
Yeah.
I've been busy.
Yeah, for sure. Dang.
Do you think that Chris Jr. seeing him in the daytime, my first thought from an outside perspective is maybe they're kind of trying to right the wrongs because, his first encounter 17 years ago was in the dark and
Mhm.
very traumatizing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the same thing, Alex.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're asking. Do you maybe they're trying to approach in a more gentle.
Right, kind of like come karmically correct.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think so too.
That's my first thought.
I think so too. I really do. I've thought that the whole time. Like we traumatized him enough. It had to happen for the initial story so that people would see him the way he is, his state. It would never leave his mind. He would stay true to it. It's real. I think maybe there was some sort of agreement there for Dad and Junior's experience to be so scary the first time. I can't understand it. I don't need to, But yeah, I think you're right, man. I think they appear to Junior in a way that is comfortable to him so that it can be a blessing and a positive experience for him.
And then kind of going back to not breaking that free will too.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to do that again, so it's offered in a different, more palatable way.
Yeah, I think so too. Now, don't get me wrong. He does see them at night. He does. Like, especially when we're together as a family. Even Teddy sees them. Dad has some videos where he's posted where you can hear Teddy go, "Angel,
Angel.
I want to see an angel, Papa."
So innocent.
Yeah,
So
he's amazing.
Yeah, he's
but
the best.
I think you're right, man. And I've wondered that a lot. But I appreciate you coming on, big dog. Before we bounce, though, is there?
Appreciate you inviting me on.
Yeah, man, it's fun. I think this was a wonderful episode.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you feel like unresolved, or now that you're here? I mean, is there anything you feel like you got to get off your chest before we dip? Are you at peace with what's been said? Anything you can recommend or advice you could give to the listeners?
I do have a recommendation. It's nothing to do with the show, the show though.
Okay.
Watch Solo Leveling.
Hey, we're about to wrap and go watch the 4th episode together.
No, I appreciate the platform. I've been feeling pretty good about my life lately. Really good about my future. I'm starting to plan for my future in ways I've never been able to, and it's very exciting. And a lot of this has probably helped push me into where I'm at now. So I appreciate that. Love my family. Love your family. If you can, for those of you who are lucky to have family. And if you don't, well then find somebody to love because it's worth it.
Yeah, make a family. If friends, families,
take
make
charge of your life.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I just want to say thank you for sharing that experience with us.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Yeah, really. I genuinely never heard that. That was pretty deep.
Yeah, it was that part of my life. That was my depression part of my life. Super anxious little 20-year-old. Can't do anything. Now I'm like a pretty low-key, chill 32-year-old.
Now you've got the Conqueror's hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you walk in the room and people faint.
No, not
especially
like that.
The ladies, huh?
Yep, especially the ladies. No, let me not sell that. No. They don't. Just the one.
Okay. Man, that's a good answer.
That's
a very seasoned, wise answer.
Just the one.
You're ahead of your time, young Padawan.
Thank you, Master.
Awesome. Well, sheesh. I guess that's a wrap. We're very blessed because tomorrow our sister, actually she's here now, but tomorrow we're going to record with our sister Emmy. So next week you can look forward to and expect to have an episode with Emmy. So I guess that's all we got.
The blessed sows.
The blessed sows. That's what I'm talking about. I like that better than I bled so much. Did you hear that in elementary school? Oh,
Yeah.
Did you bleed too much?
Yeah.
So
I've
dumb,
heard a
man.
lot of stupid stuff.
Like, man,
Bloody.
come with something better.
I know. Bloody the Fed. That's what people would call me.
Bloody the Fed? Like
Yeah.
you're a Fed?
Yeah.
In school? You were just like some young Fed?
Some friends. I had some friends, and then I've heard people tell me I look like a cop. It's because the bald head with the glasses, if I wear them, they like a little copy.
Like Miami Vice? I'm going to start calling you Miami Vice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for supporting the show. Thanks for just hearing our story and supporting us and believing in us. And it is life-changing. And this little podcast has done wonders for our family. And you guys don't really see the reality of how it's impacted us behind the scenes. So, can't thank you enough.
Can't thank you enough.
You ready?
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more, check out our other videos.
And before you go, don't forget to subscribe. See you next week. Peace.